Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. So today I have Dave DeAngelis, the producer, the other producer, along Ben's one producer, Dave is the other producer. Dave's usually behind the scenes, but Dave is in front of the scenes now.
I'll do it when I can.
Yes. He's going to jump in and play around. It's fun. It's fun having a little bit, I love working with Ben, but it's fun having a little bit of a different dynamic every once in a while too.
And I like speaking to a life coach every now and then.
There you go. So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. I'm sure I'm a little bit of a different perspective than Ben, but hopefully that's not.
Yeah, not as different as you would think, because I think Ben tries to find the questions. Yeah, exactly. So, and I think you're probably a little bit naturally at the questions.
Yeah.
So it kind of manifests in the same way.
I agree.
Yeah. So today we are talking about going within, being honest with yourself. And Dave and I were just talking about this, and it's like, again, this episode is, I think, very important always. But it's also even more so important right now because we're in the middle of the pandemic. This is being recorded on April 13th. So it feels like we're just being held still. And that was when, as soon as I said that, Dave, you like had a visual.
Oh yeah. I had a visual of us as children just squirming, and life's hands on our shoulders just saying, stop.
Yeah, just stop. And I think that's...
And we're like, no.
Right. And that's how we are in our everyday life. We're so busy. We're just doing, going, distracting, not, the life is just going, whoa, just stop for a minute. Mm-hmm. And it's uncomfortable, man.
Freaks us out.
Yes. It's uncomfortable. And I said this, I think recently on another podcast, somebody said that all man's troubles can be traced back to one thing: the fact that man cannot sit alone in a room.
Oof. Yeah.
It's just sit there and being still. People like when I talk to people about trying to meditate, we have to try to learn to slow our minds down because it's not normal that they incessantly run. And people, the biggest complaint I always have is they go, I can't meditate. I can't stop my mind. It's like, yeah, that's why you have to meditate, because you can't stop your mind. That's not okay. It's not normal. It's not, what we just perceive as normal is not normal. We're not, our brain is a tool. We're supposed to be able to use our brain to do things, to figure out problems, it's a wonderful organism in there. Yeah. It can do all kinds of amazing things, but we're supposed to be in charge of it, not it in charge of us. And right now it's in charge of us. And we need to flip-flop that. We need to regain control over our minds. So being still and stopping our mind from that incessant running, that's the first step in doing it. So but the other thing, people just plain can't stop their mind. And if they're actually able to slow themselves down enough to stand still, they get very irritable, very itchy, very like they're going to jump out of their skin. And what that is all stuffed emotion.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people think that some people think they thrive on that, but I think that I was going to say before you just said that, I think it probably is just a totally negative thing, because if you can't be still, you're obviously not thriving in any way.
Right. You're just going 90 miles an hour, and you're not attached to who you are, your feelings, and I mean, I'm like ADHD bouncing off the walls my whole life, mind running, just can't stop. I mean, that's me. Like, I've always been like that. So like when people are like, oh no, you don't understand. It's like, no, I understand perfectly. Like, I lived like that for years.
I just wanted to, because this reminded me of you when you were like in high school or something, when you said that you'd be out and you'd be like, I would just start getting like a panic attack and I'd have to go home and my mom would lay me on the couch and just put like a cool compress. And it was like one of the first times you were like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah. And I mean, I was little, like
I was younger than that.
I was like 6, 7, 8 years old when that was happening. Oh yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
I'd be going so fast just as a little kid that like I would just over stimulate or something. I don't know what the heck it was, but yeah, I'd just be shaking and just go off into panic attack. And I just need to lay there and just bring my heart rate back down and slow.
So,
yeah. So, yeah, I've had some experiences. Yeah. So, but so I'm fast paced. I'm a action taker as opposed to a processor. So I tend to take action. I don't like the feeling of fear within me. Like now it's in a healthy way. When I was younger, it was in an unhealthy way. So like I didn't allow fear to hold me back a lot either. So I was just constantly doing. And 90 miles an hour and going. And a lot of times in our society, like, I mean, in Massachusetts, I used to get yelled at just like everybody else got yelled at, even if you were busting your ass working hard. That's just because that's the way things were up there. I moved
culture.
Yeah. And when I moved to Florida, I mean, I got a job doing something I had no idea how to do. I was like doing a lot of physical labor. Here my first job in Florida was a leasing agent, and they gave me a promotion to assistant manager within a few months, because they were like, oh my God, you're the best worker. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So everything that I am doing is taking me 3 times longer. My brain is overrun. I'm taking more breaks than I ever have in my life. And you think I'm a good worker. Like, the pace is so much slower down here. That like, but like in life, when you accomplish more, people pat you on the back, oh, good. So like, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I'm faster, and we get all caught up in that mentality and we lose ourselves. So, I mean, of course, some people are going to be more fast paced than other people naturally. I mean, that I'm always going to be fast paced. But that doesn't mean I have to be disconnected with myself and running around functioning unconsciously. That's the difference. I can slow down in between and function more effectively, from a slower place. A slower place. So this is an important aspect of us. And I think that this is, we're being held to slow down and develop a different way of being that's more thoughtful, that's more conscious, that makes more sense. Like we're talking in another podcast about, most of the stuff we do doesn't make sense. We need to slow down and question things. The way we're living, does it make sense? Like, is your life in balance? Do you have emotions that you've been stuffing for your entire life that need to come out? That's the main reason we stay busy, is to distract ourselves. I think that's the biggest distraction technique we have, is just staying busy. As long as we're moving, the uncomfortability that's within us can't bubble up.
Oh yeah. So
we just keep moving. It's like, oh, no, I can't. Well, no, everybody can. Like it's that, like they don't make people like that can't stop. Like that's not a thing. Like,
there's no model that includes that feature.
Like, no, God's not up there going like, okay, this one he won't be able to stop. Like, okay, and then this one, like, no, that's not a model type.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't stop. You just forgot how to, So when we're, this is the time that we really need to do this. We're being held to stop and to start developing a different way of being that's more effective for us. That the other thing that is basically in alignment with this is that we're not good at feeling anything uncomfortable.
Nope.
Anything. I mean, like as soon as, if a baby starts crying, like picture, I know this Easter was different, but picture Easter with a house filled with people, all the families together, and somebody just had a new baby and the baby starts crying. What is everybody in the house doing? Trying to figure out how to stop the baby from crying. Mm-hmm. Maybe it needs a bottle. Sometimes have it look out the window. Hold it so it can look out the window. Sometimes it likes looking out the window. Walk, shake it, bounce it, rock it. Just take it for a drive in a car. But just do anything to stop this thing from feeling anything other than pure joy. So like we are trained this from day one that we are not supposed to feel anything that isn't pleasurable. So we stuff it or change our perspective, or just whatever we want. Just don't feel anything uncomfortable. And it's second nature to us, and there's like kind of a spiritual saying, it's get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. I've heard that one.
Yeah. So it's an important thing because if you can, when you stop resisting the uncomfortability that's trying to come up, that's all stuffed emotion. It's energy, just like everything else is. So what happens is something happens in our life. Our brain determines that it's a negative thing, which triggers negative emotion. So they've actually found that they can measure thoughts as a unit of energy. And energy never dies, it just changes form, just transmutes into different forms. So what happens is like, a situation happens, you go, oh my God, that's horrible. And somebody else looks at the same situation and goes, yeah, that's awesome. Like if a kid scores a goal, your kid scored the goal, yeah. If your kid's the goalie, oh. So it's all about our perception, how we judge something. So as soon as it's judged as negative, it triggers emotion to capture our attention. To say, hey, this isn't pleasurable. You might not want to experience this. So, you might not want to continue experiencing this over and over. It's just trying to send a message that this isn't a pleasurable thing that just transpired. So we don't go out in life and start trying to repeat it. So that emotion, as soon as that emotion comes up, we just stuff it. And what we're supposed to be doing is feeling, oh, what? Oh, I don't like that. Yes. Okay. And if it's something minimal like that, it's probably like 10 seconds of energy. If it's something normal, even getting cut off in traffic, it's probably like 20 or 30 seconds worth of energy. It's really not that much, but we just stuff it. And what happens with energy that's trapped, it starts to spin on itself and push outward on its container because it can't just stop moving. So it's pushing outward on us. And then, this is when, you can't find your keys and you lose your mind, Yeah. It's like your response is very incongruent with the actual thing that's happening.
That's when the other people in your life go, is it really about the keys?
Yeah. It seems like, the coat hanger shooting through the living room window may have been somewhat of an overreaction. Yeah.
Also, the keys have been in your pocket the whole time. So.
Right. And if you weren't so freaking out in your head and you were relaxed and calm, you probably just would have went, oh, yeah, they are.
But here we go.
Yeah. So we explode with this emotion. That emotion is going to come out. It's just a matter of how and when. So we can either do it in our own way and just sit there and feel it. And when we're still, take an hour a day. And I don't say an hour a day to feel the whole time. Like, you could feel for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, maybe 20, but take an hour, because it could be emotional. So like, take a few minutes to just, tell everybody in the house, I'm going in my room. I just need some quiet time. I'm just doing my thing for an hour, and be left alone. And I always tell people, like, have a pillow, because you might need to scream into it, and you don't want people to think you're dying. Because that's what I've done. So yeah. And you go, you get still and you pay attention to how you feel. And all of a sudden this emotion starts coming up and out, and you can start crying, or you can just pay attention to what emotion feels like. We're not used to allowing ourselves to feel something that's unpleasant. And we need to understand that it's really not, it's our resistance to it that's 10 times worse. If you do this a few times, you'll probably work through a lot of it. I mean, sometimes there's this big negative patch we have to dive in. That's really painful. If we've had some serious experiences in the past, I know I have, and I needed to go into these big balls of blackness that were horrible. And that's a whole nother deal. Like, that's another show. But for the most part, it's just this emotion that if we pay attention to it and we just go like, oh, I feel like tension in my chest. Pay attention to the physical sensation, not like, oh my God, I feel horrible. I feel sad. I feel angry. I'm feeling angry. I shouldn't be feeling angry. I'm feeling really angry. I know what's making me angry is that freaking guy when he did that. That's the story. We have to let go of the story, because all that does is it breeds new emotion as we're thinking about it. Our body doesn't know when we're experiencing something or when we're thinking about something. It triggers the same emotions.
Yeah.
So what people do oftentimes is they go in to feel these emotions, and they start telling themselves the story that created them in the first place. And they feel all this emotion releasing, and it feels good. So they think they're doing something good. But what they're doing is replacing the emotion that they're releasing with the story that they're telling. It's creating more of the same emotion. So it's like you're replacing what you're releasing. So you don't really gain anything. Nope. So if you just focus on the physical sensation, like, oh, this feels like tension in my chest. This feels like tension in my temples. Oh, now it's moving down the back of my neck. Oh, now it feels like nausea. Isn't it interesting that it moves through my body? And, and focus on your breathing if you need to. Just stay in it and allow your body to feel the sensations. And since that emotion now, that energy has served its purpose, which a thought's purpose is to trigger the emotion to give you a warning or a message. And then the emotion's job is to deliver that message. So once it's been allowed to be felt, it just transmutes into a different form of energy, and it's not stuffed within you anymore. Mm-hmm. So, this is something that we need to start doing so we can stop having the unconscious need to constantly be moving and live a more happy, balanced life. Yeah. So what do you think about all that stuff?
I think it's good. I think that that makes a lot of sense for people who right now are forced to not move, and they maybe, as we said, like, think that they have to. But I think for people like me, like what you touched on earlier, so this is obviously a very stressful time period for everybody, and I think that we are taking... I'll admit that I've unfortunately taken out the frustrations that I'm feeling on my family at times. And it's not about anything that we're talking about at that moment. But I think I've done a pretty good job, and I pride myself in having such open relationships with my friends and even my partner that we can say, it's not about this. It's not about this, and we don't want this. We want to be with each other and to love each other. And why are we fighting about the laundry? or something. But it's all
Right.
this built up thing of that we're forced to be still and just deal with our thoughts. And if I'm not translating the tension that I'm feeling and I'm not separating it, I'm just feeling it at all times. And then so when something very small, it's like, what's the
Right.
point? Everything's wrong. It's just crazy.
And that's what happens. It does. It comes out sideways, and it comes out in ways that we can't control it because it's coming out. So we either take responsibility for it and learn how to process this stuff in a healthy way, or we don't, and it comes out however it comes out. And it's, and I think, let's be real. We all have our stuff. I mean, I never pretend to be perfect.
Yeah.
What I strive for is progress, not perfection. I heard that years ago in recovery, progress, not perfection. So it's like, I want to progress. And if I'm not progressing, then I need to get honest with myself and look at myself and go, hey, listen, you need to do a better job. I need to find a different technique or something, because like after a while, after, apologizing, like it's just another, like apologizing and then repeating the same behavior is a wasted apology, and I'm not, I want to be clear, like when it's something big that's going to take us a while to work through, yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, you can apologize and then it's going to happen again. Like, everybody's going to get, like, saying, hey, I apologize. I yelled and I got upset. And I shouldn't have yelled. Well, I mean, you're going to yell again.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, let's be realistic. So I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about just trying to at least have bigger gaps in between the times, or to do it less, or maybe to get upset without yelling is progress. Like
for that.
Yeah, it's just any area where we can see progress. It's important to try to see that.
But we can't find comfort in the fact that we can do whatever and then I'll just say sorry afterwards.
Right.
That means nothing. That means nothing if you're not trying.
Right. And that's another thing that slowing down can really help us with.
Yeah.
Because because the way we generally function without slowing down, it's just like, oh my God, I did something I shouldn't have done it. Hey, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you go on and it's done. Like, there is no, let's look at this and try to figure out how I can do better. There is no, hey, I'm going to process the emotion so I don't do that again next time. There's no solution built in. It's just, sorry, move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we're trying to get out of. And along this line, and I don't know if this is going to be another podcast or not, but this is about, like, this is how you learn to be honest with yourself. This was like one of the first things that I learned when I started waking up. I started waking up through the process of recovery through the 12 steps. So the first step, when I was doing the first step, this is when I learned this to learn how to be honest with myself. And this is important right now because this is all part of the slowing down and learning to be honest with yourself. It's like what I started doing was I would just like put my hands on my chest, kind of bring my attention to my body instead of being up in my head, and just kind of go like, okay, how do I feel about this? And normally it's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's fine. Like, how do I really feel about this? Oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. How do I really, really feel about this? It's no biggie. How do I really, really, really feel about this? This sucks. I hate this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Maybe you need to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that's what slowing down looks like. That's what learning to be honest with ourselves looks like. Just that, just really getting into the present moment and slowing down. And this is, it's amazing the answers you can get just by doing that. Mm-hmm. The things that you've been bouncing around for years, not being able to figure out or not knowing how to deal with or not even knowing that it bothered you, that it's all symptoms that we're moving too fast. Yeah. It's so when you all of a sudden when you do that, it's like, oh my God, I never dealt with my father's death. I never dealt with the way that, that thing that happened to me in high school. I never realized that, like, I don't really like me, I don't think. Why don't I like me? I mean, I try to be a good person. Am I a good person? Yeah, I am. Well, then why don't I like me? Well, because of outside pressures. And when I was younger, people used to say these types of things, and it made me feel bad about myself. And I don't think I ever let go of that. So now no wonder why I'm such a good person is because I'm running around trying to act like I'm a good person, because deep inside, there's a part of me that agrees with those people when I was younger that told me that I wasn't good enough or I was a bad person. And now I'm out here trying to prove that I'm good to the world. And I don't need to. I just need to prove it to myself. And I already know that I'm good. I already know that I'm kind and I'm loving. Geez, maybe I should take that off my plate. Like, this is the work that can be done right now. And, a lot of what's happening, this is why I say this is an opportunity. It's not a problem. We're like, oh my God, people are getting sick. Yeah. Well, oh my God, we could change ourselves into better human beings. And when this is over, because eventually it will be, when this is over, we could all come out like butterflies instead of the caterpillars we were before. If we use this to go within, go through a time of transition and come out the other side as better people, I mean, that's what this is an opportunity for. To go within and transition into a better being, and everybody's always, one of the distraction techniques is pointing outward. Society, look at the problems in society. Look at people today. You are people today. Mm-hmm. Like that's where you are. That's what we are. We have to be the change you wish to see is one of the most profound statements ever uttered. Because society is just made up of people, and we're always pointing the finger at like we're the bad one. The bad ones are out there. We're fine. No, we're not fine. I still have work to do on myself, and this has been my whole focus for 17 years. And I still have room for improvement. Mm-hmm. That means everybody else does too. So we all have room for improvement. And if we just all take this time to become better versions of ourselves, we're going to live in that much better of a society when we come out of this, because our energy and our way of thinking is going to be that much healthier. That which makes up society, that means the way of thinking is going to be that much healthier as a collective. Society is a collective. So the more work we do on ourselves right now, the better society we have to come out to when this is over.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we can focus on right now. Go inside, do the work, get still, find out what your work is, implement it, and so we can come out so this wasn't wasted time.
That's a big one.
The scariest thing I see is a meme that says, I can't wait till this is over. Why? Why? Because life was so functional before.
So your fear is that people are I would have thought this before, that your worst fear is that people come out of this the same way that they came out.
Oh my God, yes.
That's probably the worst thing that you think that could happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because that's something I thought about right away. I was like, are we going to learn, or is this just going to be another thing that we just go, that was weird. Oh, well.
I know.
But you know what I mean?
Remember that whole pandemic thing?
Anyway, we went right back to the old
That's why I think this is going to last a little while longer, I think the recovery period is going to be longer than we realize. Yeah. Like, I mean, the obvious way is like looking at the financial repercussions and going, okay, yeah, we're
right.
We're kind of doing our best to put Band-Aids on broken legs here because we don't know what else to do. But 6 months from now, everything that like actually did fall apart is not going to be functional anymore. And then we're going to have to, so there's that. But so I don't know how long this is going to last. I think it is going to last, another month and a half at least, because so God can hold us still long enough. So we actually stop wishing that it was over. Stop yelling at the person that you see without a mask. Stop wondering how somebody in good conscience could throw gloves on the side of the road after they're done using them when actually they forgot them in the back of their truck when they were getting groceries and they flew out. When we stop judging everybody for doing everything that we don't deem appropriate, and we start turning back on within ourselves and getting still and growing and actually making the change that's supposed to be happening during this time, we have to be held long enough for us to do that. And I think Mother Earth or the universe or God is way smarter than us. And I think it can outlast us.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like, no, did they get it yet? No. Yeah.
You're not ready.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Send another 150 down to cases down to Florida. And then we got to hit the other coast too. Let's whack another 78 over the northeast section of California and whatever. But like I think we're going to be held still long enough for this to start happening. And I mean, we're going to see it in people cracking too. We're used to holding on as opposed to letting go. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons in this. Stop holding on and let go. Stop holding on what doesn't work. It's our healthcare workers. I feel bad for them because, they have huge hearts. They're loving, wonderful people trying to help, but they're not taking care of themselves. And God knows the powers that be aren't going to take care of them. You think the administration is going to be like, hey, you worked 4 doubles in a row. Maybe you should take a day off. No, they're going to be like, get another one. Like we have to learn to take care of ourselves. We're going to function. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. Killing yourself and lowering your immune system until you crash is not the most beneficial way to function. And that's just like, see, people get caught up in the specifics. So people go, well, no, we need all the nurses to work really, really hard right now because we have this huge pandemic going on. It's like, no, the dynamic of that doesn't work. It's spiritual law. It's never worked. It's never going to work. It cannot be. It's literally unsustainable. It just doesn't work. If our model for success is destroy yourself to whatever degree necessary to try to get through something, that model doesn't work in life. So it doesn't, if you're, it's like driving your car, well, I don't need gas. I'll just keep driving. No, it will just break down.
Yeah.
It'll just stop. It's the same with us, that we only have so much energy. We need to care for ourselves. We're supposed to be giving from the overflow. We're supposed to love ourselves, care for ourselves, and then give from the overflow. That's sustainable. That can happen forever. And in areas that we do that, it works. In areas that we don't do that, it breaks down and doesn't work. Across the board. It's been like that 10,000 years ago. It's going to be like that 10,000 years from now. It's like that when you're running a 5K race. And it's like that in the middle of a pandemic if you're a nurse. It works always, all the time, in every situation. And waving the flag, going, yes, but I'm a good person and I want to help people, doesn't make it untrue.
Right.
We have to learn to better care for ourselves, and we need to start doing it ourselves. Because like I said, the administration isn't going to do it for you.
No one will.
No, we are each responsible for our own energy, our own lives. And if if you do develop a way to take care of yourself now, it's probably going to be better off, because there's going to be a bunch of nurses getting sick and crashing and having injuries. And there's going to be it's going to manifest eventually into things. And in another few weeks, all these people who are holding on, not taking care of themselves, there's going to be some crashes. And when it does, the people who are taking care of themselves are going to be able to help, because that's sustainable.
So be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Do what you can to take care of yourself, and don't get lost in not doing that. And don't expect anyone else to take care of you for you.
Yeah, we have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of others. And, that means mentally, emotionally, spiritually, take care of yourself and you'll be a better version of yourself when you do that. And then when we come out of this, we're going to be living in a better world. And, if 51% of society learns to become just a little bit better version of themselves, we're going to be living in a better society when this is over. And I think we're on our way to doing that. I mean, the negative stuff is noisier, so it grabs our attention a lot easier. But there's a lot of good going on right now. And there's a lot of people being creative and turning their businesses into things that make face shields and masks. And there's a lot of, look for the heroes. There's a lot of good that's coming. So, we have, on the external, we have a lot of good and we have a lot of negativity. It's the middle piece that we need to focus on and work on. And that's us. That's just us being better versions of ourselves, because it's the only thing that we truly have control over. So I think that's it. Slow down. We're being held still. So take advantage of this time and work through what you're being held to see. We each have our own versions of it. We're supposed to be seeing something and working through it so we can come out of this better. So find your version of that and do it. Do it, man.
All right, I will.
Do it, man. Just come on, rock.
I love it. So where can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, glennambrose.com, right down there.
It's mirrored
over there. Yeah.
And also your book. Let's promote your book.
Yes. Yeah, really. Actually, I put a post the other day on Facebook. Now, such a good time. We can't fix a problem with the consciousness that created it. Einstein said that. So it's time to expand our minds. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. Expand your mind to view things in a different way. That's what this book does. This book, one of my friends that's not spiritual will say, read it. And he gave me a great compliment. He said, if it was all this woo-woo spiritual theoretical stuff, I wouldn't even have read it. But it's not. He goes, I understand that it's deep and everything. He goes, but it's practical. And I saw how I could implement it in my life to make my life better. And so I did read it. And he really liked it. So, it is profound. It can blow your mind in certain aspects, but it's very practical. So, of course, it's not for everybody, but go out, get that book, get the 4 Agreements, get the Untethered Soul, get the Power of Now, or Google some of the teachers who wrote those books. Listen to the podcast, do something to expand your mind so you're looking at things differently, so you become that better version of yourself as you move forward. So
I'll try, Glenn.
Okay. Well, here you are, Dave. You're doing it, Dave. You're getting exposed to some teachings you not normally aren't exposed to.
No, it's helping. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And hey, look, I got an Empower shirt. Go empower yourself. Have an adventure in your house. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you later.
Glenn is available for life coaching sessions. To book an appointment or for more information, go to glennambrose.com, follow him on Facebook and Twitter, or click the link in the description of this episode.